Hi all, this is Skate, and before we get into this one, I just want to let you guys know I have finally got off my lazy butt and made a Discord server. So for those who ask, or for those who asked if I've ever had one, or those who are interested, I do now have a Discord server. A link for it is in the pinned comments on this video, and I also need to give a shout out and thank you to Meadsy69 and Alec Plays, because they've both spent a fair bit of time with me today, and we have basically just built this server up. So come and join us. It's probably going to be full of nonsense, and at least I can give you a reason why I haven't made a video in a long period of time again. You can all spam a tag at me. Hey, Skate, it's been a couple of days, no video. When are you doing one? I'll probably do one. But talking videos, let's talk FV4005. What a machine. It is lightly armoured. It became a little bit controversial by the fact it didn't have the 183 gun, but you know what? What a call on Wargaming's behalf. It is a phenomenal machine. And coming from a man who has just shy of 2,000 battles in the FV4005B 183, I can hands down say I would play this all day long in comparison to the 183. I honestly think this is considerably better. I mean, yeah, so what? Death Star does 930 alpha in one shot. This thing does 1,380 average damage in one clip. In other words, Death Star has just over 3,000 damage. This thing has just shy of 3,400. I would much prefer to play this over the Death Star. Now, there could be arguments of, yeah, this can be HE'd. The Death Star can't. Now, let's be fair, Death Star is not going to bounce much, and in regards to the HE argument, as we know, these new tanks have a spall liner, so it's kind of not a concern. So the armor argument is a complete moot point when it comes to Death Star versus, well, it's clip bar now, isn't it? But, and that's purely because you don't get that much more armor on a Death Star. Yes, you cannot be HE, and if you're running one of these things without a spall liner, you're running it wrong, in my opinion. But you haven't got anything reliable enough on the 183 to make you go, ooh, that's leaps and bounds ahead in terms of armor. And on top of that thing, damn, this thing's got mobility in comparison to the 183. Can you imagine the uproar if the 183 had this thing's mobility? There would be absolute uproar over it. That being said, can this thing get away with the mobility? And I honestly think, yes, it needs it. Where I don't think, well actually, hear me out before you go raging in the comments. I think the tank is pretty balanced. Now, you're going to say otherwise. Some of you are going to say otherwise. Here's my logic. I think the tank is pretty well balanced. What I think tops this thing is the provisions and the new consumables. Now, spall liner alone, fine. I actually think that's a very good addition. But then we get on to the consumables. Now, in the game there is an engine power boost. It gives you 20% extra power to the engine for 15 seconds with a 75-second cooldown. These tanks have an improved engine power, which is 50% to engine power, 10% to traverse, 8 km forward top speed improved, and plus 10 km per hour maximum reverse speed. Jesus Christ. And the punishment for that? 90-second cooldown instead of 75-second. It's ridiculous. That is what I think pushes this tank slightly over the balance range, not the tank itself. And then the shell reload boost basically allows you to fire off a clip with a 2.3 second intra-clip reload instead of 3 seconds each. These don't sound like huge big deals, but when you add them to this tank, they become insane. Here's a couple of quick clips I want to show you to give a nice example. First off, let's talk about that intra-clip boost. There's a T30, tier 9 full hit points. Consumable pressed, bearing in mind he was full hit points. I only need one more high roll, and I have finished off a T30 from full hit points in less than 5 seconds. That is ridiculous. Next up, quick clip on the improved engine power. It's like something out of a cartoon. I am chasing a Batchat through buildings and sticking with him. What hope did that poor Batchat have in that circumstance. Absolutely none. It's, it's ridiculous. That poor Batchat. But you see what I mean? The tank, I think, is pretty balanced. But when someone makes one small mistake, and you can take up to 1500 damage off them quite easily in less than 5 seconds, and then you can hit your improved engine boost and get yourself back into cover by reversing or driving forward, because both are ridiculously fast with that engine boost on, and you can just wait for your lifelong reload on your big clip and then rinse and repeat, basically. That is what pushes this tank over the edge. Not the tank itself, those new consumables. The provision, I actually think the Spore line is something we should have had in Blitz from the very start. These two, no. It's just, no. There's no other words. No. Stop it. No, it's ridiculous. Now, take those off this tank, and I think the tank is absolutely perfect where it sits. I genuinely do. Thing is, the tank, well, they won't take those consumables away, would they? What they're going to do is end up balancing the tank instead. But I honestly don't think it needs it. It just needs those little bits removed. Now, these tanks, this sort of tank, in my opinion, is a tank which isn't known for its exceptional win rate. Rather, it's known for its exceptional damage. So, you know you'll more than likely have a good damage game in this thing. But that doesn't mean you're going to have an exceptionally high win rate in it. It's a balance. It's a damage dealer in a team, but it's soft and squishy. So it kind of does become team dependent. Of course, until you have those consumables ready to fire up and you can get yourself out of any situation at that point in time. Yes, you have a 90-second cooldown, but who cares? 1.5 minutes later, you can get yourself out of another sticky situation ridiculously quickly. Now, I am running those two, and I'm also running the multi-repair kit, because I'm quite happy and confident to take a shot off someone in exchange for my 3 460 alpha shots. And then I'll hit my engine boost, and just like I did there, I will reverse back as quick as I possibly can. And guess what? It does exceptionally well. Now, that doesn't give it a huge edge. It's not huge, guys. It's a small edge, but it's only a small edge because you have a 90-second cooldown. But during those 15 seconds you have those things activated, it's a ridiculous edge. Now, I mentioned earlier I have like 2,000 battles in the Death Star. I have 1,998. I'm not proud of it, but it's a tank which needs to be compared to this one. But the fact I have 1,998 battles means it's a perfect benchmark for me to compare that 183 with that many battles, because it's going to be pretty accurate on my performance in that tank. So the comparative I want to give is I've got just under 3,000 average damage in the 183 with 61% win rate in it. This thing, I've got 65% win rate and 2,900 average damage. Now, the reason I'm pointing those two things out is my average damage is slightly less, but my win rate's 4% higher. 4% doesn't seem like a huge big deal, but I'm willing to put money on the fact that the more I play this tank, the more my average damage and the more my win rate would go up in it. But because they are the way they are now, with the win rate and the XP being higher, it implies to me I can do more for the team than just dish out damage. Which, let's be fair, that's all a Death Star's built for. It can just dish out damage. This thing, on the other hand, can relocate to the other side of a battlefield when it needs to. It can look at a target with 1,200 hit points and say, guarantee I'm going to finish you off in less than 5 seconds. Or if you haven't got the boost, 6 seconds. Because the playstyle on this thing, in my opinion, is at the start of the battle, you play it long range. Because again, you've got the accuracy over a Death Star, you can do it quite comfortably. And then as the team starts to push, because you're helping to soften the targets at range, you go in with your team. And if you can, you go in with the heavies, because you can pop out of cover once you're reloaded, get your clip in, and get back into cover while the heavies continue to push even softer targets you've just softened up for them. And you work through a team like that. And it really does work exceptionally well. Once you separate yourself in this tank, you can be in a lot of trouble. It's quite hard to recover from that sometimes. Now I have got a nice clip I want to share with you about this tank in a 1 versus 3 situation. But I don't want to include it in this video, and the reason I'm not including it in this video is because I noticed on my replay file I had a lot of Kolobanovs saved in there. So I wanted to make a video dedicated to Kolobanovs and trying to deal with it and survive in a Kolobanov situation. And because this tank has a big long reload and it's very big and squishy, I think it's a nice example to throw in that video. I promise you won't be waiting weeks for that one either. I will get that one up on the channel by the end of the week. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. I have tons more footage on this tank, and I'll quite happily talk for much longer on this tank. But I'll leave it at this for now. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.